The United States of America is still the greatest country in the world.
That America is the greatest place on earth.
We are America, second to none, and we own the finish line.
That we are the greatest country on earth. That's indisputable.
America is the least racist country on earth. It is the place with the most opportunity on earth. It has done the most good for the most people in America and around the globe.
Well, if you want to find peak happiness, you might have to travel across the world to do so. The annual World Happiness Report is based on citizens' health, income, freedom, and generosity. For the first time ever, the U.S. ranks outside the top 20 at 23rd.
The United States is the world's most prosperous economy.
Top 1% of all Americans own a whopping 31% of the nation's wealth. If we expand our parameters slightly, the top 10% own 69% of the wealth of the entire nation, while the remaining 90% of people own just 31% or a third of the nation's wealth.
In 2002, women earned on average 80% of what men earned. And in 2022, 20 years later, women still only earn 82% as much as men. It's even worse for women of color. Data research from the Pew Research Center show that black women earn 70% as much as white men in 2022, and Latina women earn 65% as much.
About 11% of the federal budget, or $665 billion, goes to economic security programs. Child poverty alone is estimated to cost the U.S. over $1 trillion, based on the latest research from 2018.
Women in the United States and in Western Europe are the freest and most liberated in human history.
In a sweeping ruling that overturned a half a century of precedents, 5 justices ended the right of American women to choose abortion under the Constitution.
I march because I just believe in the beauty of human life from the moment of conception. Abortion is the greatest injustice to ever happen to women in all of human history.
They're not pro-life, they're pro-hypocrisy, pro-birth, and pro-control. If they were truly pro-life, they would not support the Supreme Court's decision to allow open carry across this country. They would support gun control. They would support universal health care. They would support these things that actually affect the living, breathing human lives of this country. All they really care about is controlling and suppressing women.
A majority of U.S. adults have either personally or had a family member who's been impacted by a gun-related incident. Including suicide, nearly 1 in 5 Americans have lost a family member to gun violence, with people of color disproportionately impacted.
Every life is sacred, that every child is a precious gift from God.
In 2016, the NRA spent $419 million on political campaigns and more than $30 million on Donald Trump alone.
It's not the gun that pulls the trigger. It's the person holding the gun.
In the case of Breonna Taylor, a black woman who was fatally shot by police.
And you always have a bad apple no matter where you go. You have bad apples. And there are not too many of them. And I can tell you there are not too many of them in the police department.
Studies show racial bias is a factor in nearly every nook and cranny of the criminal justice system. That includes who's being arrested, who's being accused, and who's being convicted of crimes.
Regardless of what anybody says, America is not a racist nation.
A controversial march over the weekend. A small group of neo-Nazis walked through Nashville.
Our school systems were built around this. Our economic systems are built around this. Our government systems were built around this. And it is simply that things were designed to uphold this story, to uphold this exploitation.
White Americans now hold 85% of this country's wealth. Black Americans, just over 4%, and Hispanics, just over 3%.
Instead of this whole, let's all learn to be best friends and love each other, you can love someone of a different race and ethnicity and still actively participate in their oppression based on how you vote, based on what you bring up in your office meetings, based on where you spend your money.
Private prison corporations like Corrections Corporation of America and GEO Group are actually profiting from it. The Corrections Corporation of America made $1.6 billion in revenue in 2014 alone.
The economy of the United States was not built on slavery.
The 13th Amendment also states that slavery shall be abolished except in cases where a person has been duly convicted of a crime. So the 13th Amendment actually has paved the way to create a whole nother level of slavery that was basically, and still is, sponsored by, of course, the United States government and sanctioned by the United States government.
For roughly 6.5% of the U.S. population, they make up 40.2% of the prison population.
Judy, nearly 30% of all incarcerated women worldwide are in the United States, and the number of women in U.S. prisons has risen more than 700% in the last 40 years. 85% of women in prison reported some physical or sexual trauma in their lifetime.
Sexual violence is unfortunately very common. Nearly 1 in 5 women and 1 in 71 men have been raped in their lifetime.
Unfortunately, widespread problems in our health system prevent many American women from receiving primary, mental, and maternal health care. And the crisis is especially dire for women of color. Compared to their peers in other high-income countries, American women aged 18 to 49 are less likely to have regular primary care.
Research shows there are several health disparities LGBTQ people face.
Something else that stands out to me is the violence in which these folks were killed. You know, these are our trans siblings, these are our non-binary friends and family members and siblings, and many of them are dying in some of the most devastatingly disrespectful ways. I mean, it is possible to die with dignity, but when we're seeing people who are shot and stabbed multiple times simply because of who they are and who we are, it's absolutely heartbreaking. And it really speaks to the hatred, the misinformation, and also the disinformation that people have about who transgender people are and who we aren't.
Feminist is a man or a woman who says, yes, there's a problem with gender as it is today, and we must fix it. We must do better.
So we are here. We are here not merely to gather, but to move, right? And our movements require us to do more than just show up and say the right words. It requires us to break out of our comfort zones and be confrontational. It requires us to defend one another when it is difficult and dangerous. It requires us to truly see ourselves and one another.
I think that women are fearless. I mean, well, we don't allow fear to stop us. I would have to say that.
It's like society has this stereotype of what a woman is, and it's like if you're not that kind of woman, then you're just not a woman, you're a hoe. So, yeah, so it's like, all right, so then be a confident hoe then.
We are two Black women experiencing something together. My way of showing up for you is if I need to put my body on the line, I'm putting my body on the line. The way that you're disrupting systems of oppression is making sure people acknowledge my humanity. We finna do this together. Like, we have to do it together.
I love you so very much.
But I'm gonna be okay. I really believe that I'm gonna be okay because I've been okay so far.
There is nothing you have to do for worth. You don't have to hustle for it. You don't have to barter for it. You have to do nothing but be born.
For all the little boys and girls who look like me watching tonight, this is a beacon of hope and possibilities. This is proof that dreams dream big and dreams do come true. And ladies, don't let anybody tell you you are ever past your prime.
Erin Bailey is an 18-year-old high school student. And for her senior project, she's putting on the first Pride Festival to ever happen in her hometown of Columbus, Indiana.
What's like one story that really spoke to you?
This woman told me that she was like around my age and she came out and she got so much like shit for coming out, and so she told me that she literally had to leave Columbus because of how bad it was, and this is the first time she's come back to Columbus.
I couldn't even speak at first. All I could say was thank you. To come back and to be ourselves, to walk down the street holding my wife's hand. I never would have dreamed that I'd see this here in Columbus, Indiana. Thank you for doing this. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much this means to me. Thank you.
Being a man means being whatever you want to be, whenever you want to be it, not being afraid to be yourself, show your emotions or don't show your emotions. Just be who you want to be. That's what being a real man or a woman is.
Now is the time to take action wherever you hold power and influence, whether that's in your home, your workplace, your school, your community. Reflect on your own privilege. Create space for those who have had less power. Advocate for more women in leadership and more men to take up parental leave. Call out everyday sexism. Diversify the books you read. Talk to children about gender issues and let them show up as the full human selves. Encourage boys to show emotion. Encourage girls to explore pleasure. There are thousands of things that we can do every single day to create change.
Black
make it a legal offense.